Nvidia has announced it will work with Samsung to create a new AI mega factory as part of the deal. The South Korean company is set to deploy more than 50,000 Nvidia GPUs, and the two companies will collaborate on high bandwidth memory chips. Hyundai will also use 50,000 Nvidia chips in a new AI factory. And South Korea's presidential office says more than 260,000 GPUs will be deployed across the public and private sector.
CEO Jensen Huang told the Apex CEO Summit that AI chips and infrastructure have changed how we think about computing.
AI runs on GPUs, whereas hand-coded software runs on CPUs. This entire software stack, from the needs of energy, chips, the infrastructure, all of the software associated with the systems, the AI models, and the applications on top, every single layer of computing has been fundamentally changed. Just think, the computer industry has been largely the same for 60 years. And now, with AI and accelerated computing, every single layer of the computing stack is being changed. All of the computers we've created in the past, $1 trillion, maybe more, of computers, needs to now be transitioned, shifted to the new computing platform.
Well, Dan Ives joins us, Global Head of Technology Research at Wedbush Securities. Dan, just back from Asia as well, fleshing out this Nvidia news. We're hearing the 50,000 chips that will be bought by Samsung, 50,000 by SK Group, 50,000 by Hyundai Group, by the South Korean government, and also by Navo that'll buy 60,000 Nvidia chips, pooling together 260,000. It's not the same as the amount we saw from UAE, the 500,000. But what does this do in terms of justifying that $5 trillion market cap for Nvidia this week?
Yeah, look, I mean, this is a watershed deal, especially for South Korea. Because if you look, they've kind of been on the outside looking in. Of course, they have SK Hynix on the memory side, but this is huge. Because if you look at what Samsung's doing, look, this really gets them into that AI revolution party and really the build out. And that's very important also for NVIDIA. I mean, they're putting a stake in the ground, which is huge because there's one chip in the world fueling the AI revolution, and that's led by godfather of AI, Jensen, NVIDIA. But now South Korea, they're not on the outside looking in. They are deep right now in this AI revolution thesis. And that's why it's very important for the government. I was just there in South Korea. This is an extremely important deal to do it with the gold standard NVIDIA.
Dan, we're seeing a lot of these deals, and the reality is Nvidia is the partner to the world. So a lot of countries, a lot of companies are very keen to ensure this build out of AI is not just a few names in Silicon Valley. And while that may be happening now, you've got all these South Korean names from Samsung to SK Group all in the mix. Is this telling us that it is a single play Nvidia investment for people to look at now because it is going to be the partner? It's not as broad-based as it could be across Silicon Valley, but Nvidia is just going to be still a pivotal company for investors here.
Yeah, well, Nvidia, I mean, in my opinion, we're looking at what's going to be actually a $6 trillion market cap, over the next 12 to 18 months. But I think the important thing is that it's spreading to the second, third, fourth derivatives across the rest of tech. Because, look at all the earnings from all the hyperscalers, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, off the chart. CapEx that continues to really be a CapEx super cycle. We see it with Meta and others. But it all starts with foundationally NVIDIA as well as OpenAI. We see those deals there too. But we're talking about fourth industrial revolution. And that's why it's our view this is a tech bull market next 2 to 3 years.
Dan, where does this all leave China? There was talk that the Blackwell chips could be part of the Trump-Xi discussions this week. President Trump then saying he's going to leave it to Beijing to speak to NVIDIA directly. How important is the China market to NVIDIA right now, and how important is NVIDIA to China right now?
Yeah, look, there's 20 billion reasons a year why Jensen wants that market back, right? You don't want to go 95% market share to 0%. I mean, China, and you see innovation that's, I've seen it firsthand, expanding significantly, in China in terms of not just on the chip side, but robotics and technology. And in this AI arms race, NVIDIA wants access to that market, but it comes down to the biggest chip on the poker table for Trump is NVIDIA. And that's why I would be shocked if NVIDIA does not get, what I'll say, re-access to that market over the next 3 to 6 months in terms of these negotiations.
Dan, what could derail the Nvidia story here? It seems like it simply just goes from strength to strength. Now its market cap is larger than the entire market cap of 5 of the 7 G7 economies. I mean, the stock has been absolutely astounding this year. But what could derail the story?
Look, ironically, and it's still, I think it's still inexpensive, relative to where I think numbers are going to go over the next 2 to 3 years. Look, when you say what could derail all this, I don't think it's US, China. I think it just comes down to like probably in 2 years, you hit power supply issues, specifically like in the US. You really need to expand from a nuclear perspective, as in names like Akko or names that we're bullish on. But we're going to have, it's more supply constraints quarter to quarter. That will be an issue. But we've talked about it. This AI party, it started at 9 p.m. It's now 10:30, 10:45 p.m. That party goes to 4 a.m.